you go on to page 156, attachment 3, the very first, there's a column called general taxation, and then the next column says general surplus. Started the 2012 year at 828,000, so that includes the 166 that we just were
That's
talking about.
so page 3.
And is that the surplus that we're gonna see on the financial statement? Or is that
Uh,
actual surplus?
No, that's the surplus, but then once we add in all of the water and the sewer, it'll change. That is the
There's no
general,
depreciation on these financial statements.
that's correct, you're right, there is no depreciation showing on these.
So on the
So you're
financial
right, they will
statement,
adjust
we
for
might
that.
not have a surplus.
Oh, actually, you won't show a surplus because of the water surpluses and it'll be a different amount, that's correct.
I just, maybe it's getting late in the afternoon or something, I'm missing. Why did, the 166 has gone,
It's in the opening surplus balance.
it's in the surplus balance, but it's gone to this surplus,
Yes.
and we can't use it.
Well,
Except
we have a
to,
policy that says we shouldn't use it.
no, I understand, and
we
the
have-
policy, the year before, we paid in how much?
So here's why I like to look at multiple years. Attachment 2, page 155, shows from 2001 forward, all our different pots, our surplus and our reserves. So the very first row called general accumulated surplus, we started out in 2001 with 906,000.
Right, but let's just look at,
And at the end of 2011, we've got 828,000.
And we need half of our for working capital purposes, we need about $2 million in surplus.
That's correct, yep. To be able-
Otherwise, we have to borrow money to pay our bills.
Right, which we haven't had to do yet, but you'll recall I put a temporary borrowing note in place just in case.
If we look at budget 2012, and we're starting to eat up that discretionary stuff.
So, is there any other items that you would like me to add in or remove? We just had a question raised about how are we going to carry out the strategic work in the code that we would like to carry out? What funding source is there for that?
so do we really need a new?
We can't use the boat ramp parks money for funding.
No, no,
I
I'm
know.
not talking about Snug Cove. Do we really need?
Actually,
Yes,
I'm wondering about that. If we give up on the ramp, what stops us for money? We cannot keep that indefinitely on the books for a project which we have not, have no intention of. Why can't we use that?
Because it's a bylaw and it's statutory.
Well, then change the bylaw.
You know.
Make an amendment to the bylaw.
Well, Wolfgang, you're getting ahead of yourself, we haven't deep sixed the boat ramp.
No, but if I would have to choose between the planning for Snug Cove and the boat ramp, I don't have to think. This is a given. So now tell me we have a bylaw, well, how often has that bylaw been broken? And we can make an amendment.
No, the bylaw
Yeah.
says the parks money in the parks reserve is for the building of, an acquisition of parks. The community reserve fund bylaw says that it is for the acquisition and building of recreation facilities.
Okay. And what we are doing in Snug Cove is not to a large
Doing
degree
an
for
R-
recreation.
Doing an
The whole
RF,
community center is not for recreation.
no, with the rec fund, but the Snug Cove planning has nothing to where the ferry marshalling is gonna be, has nothing to do with the rec center.
you know,
No,
I mean,
but-
that's really the issue, is the Snug Cove plan.
Yes.
I mean, how many plans do we have? We have 30 of them, so we have
Yeah.
30 different consultants' reports.
100,000.
100,000
Yes.
spent. Surely we must be able to grab one off the wall and say,
We could take the Snug Cove master plan.
I can't see that. Let's suppose you have somewhere a savings account which you set aside for a trip around the globe, And eventually you say, well, no, we don't want to do that.
Well, no, this is more like a trust account than a savings
It's a
account.
trust account.
It's much more
Well,
rigorous.
it's for
in terms of
recreation.
how it's-
Well, now, how much in Snackport, what we are planning is not.
We can't amend,
None of it.
we can't amend any of the monies sitting there.
In the statutory reserve funds, we have to, they're in bylaws, and to change a bylaw, you've gotta go through an amendment bylaw. And you would be
Yeah.
changing the use of that park money for something that it was not saved for. We have a parcel tax to fund, to put money away for parks. And we have a trust arrangement with the community that $100 a year that they all pay is going to go into that Parks Reserve Fund to pay for the acquisition and the maintenance of parks.
So, except when it's not, but anyway, okay.
But there is a line item that says recreation and other community use.
Well, that's the recreation
That
reserve
sounds
fund.
pretty broad and vague.
And that's for if you read the description, is for the acquisition and development of recreation facility.
So it puts some trails in the code.
Well, I have the actual bylaw here, if anybody wants me to read it to them. This money came from Metro Vancouver,
No, it came from the community. We had
the
a service-
recreation and other
Yeah,
community use
that was
reserve
set up
fund.
under the Parks and Rec Commission back in the early nineties.
Well, the bylaw that
That's
we
where your
should,
confusion is.
And Metro Vancouver was a service bylaw within Metro Vancouver.
And
When
is
we
it
were-
still worth
When
reading
we
the
were a
bylaw?
municipality.
When we were part of the Islands Trust.
Okay, but so what does it say?
it says, whereas Greater Vancouver Regional District has established a reserve fund pursuant to blah 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 for community parks under bylaw 715. And then it goes on to talk about how Bowen Island recreation and other community use under the local service establishment bylaw. Therefore, the funds, we must establish a reserve fund set aside for recreation and other community use purposes. And then it
Covers a
goes
lot
on
of
to say it
things.
must be capital, land, machinery, equipment necessary for
Yeah.
recreation and other community use.
But then the community use bylaw was for providing community.
No, it actually, it says what it says.
Yeah, it says community.
It seems we are trying to find a reason
This
to
seems
say
to be a
no.
complete
Instead of
sidetrack.
yes.
I think we're experiencing fatigue here. It's 25 after 5. And we're now back to talking about the boat ramp. We have a motion, we voted on it.
We're
And-
talking about Wolfgang suggesting that we should use the Parks Community Reuse Reserve Fund to fund the planning for Snug Cove.
This money is competing for the community center facility, right? That if we don't do the Tunstall Bay boat launch out of this pot of money, that frees up more money for the community center facility. So there are other competing needs for this money, so that's correct, but we can't use it for the library roof, that's correct, because that's not what the money was set aside for.
It was other community uses.
Well, that's true. It does
Parking
say
for the community
recreation
center.
and other community
Other
use.
community uses.
Yep.
I mean,
Building,
sure you can. I mean, unless we desperately try to reason not.
You make a library of park.
we could probably do a library park over the loop road.
All I was
I-
just doing is pointing out that we don't have enough money to build what we
Mhm.
wanna build.
I know.
So this is one that we've been putting aside 47,000 every year into this fund for recreation and other community use.
Okay. So what's on the, what motion is sitting in front of us? Nothing.
Nothing.
But you want a
I
motion?
have a proposed motion that I'd like that directs me to create the bylaws to bring to you for first reading.
Okay, let's do
That
that.
incorporates the
That's
things
what
we've
I like.
talked about today.
Let's.
So
please
in
do
there
that.
is the community center at 12.5 million spread over the years as in their report. Is the Tunstall Bay boat launch, which I will remove 60,000 from now. Is the satellite fire hall that they're working on this year, plus a building in come on, you guys know all of this stuff. 2014, is it?
No, this is fair. Sounds like Friday.
No,
It's
replacing the
now.
existing fire hall. Sorry, it's not jumping out at me, here we are. In 2013, replacing the existing fire hall in 2013.
That's too early.
$2 million.
Wouldn't get that done by then.
Is Brian still here? He is. Is
Brian's
that
here.
realistic still?
2014, right, not 13?
I'm assuming we'd have to go to referendum.
That's, question for another, well, it's, how long do you keep planning to build it? We don't have land for the replacement for the main fire halls yet, you know, that's the issue. That determines the time, I think.
And if we were gonna do a referendum for 2014.
And it also, the top row of attachment 3 shows what we're proposing to contribute to each of those surplus and reserve funds for 2012. I haven't given you the 5 years worth, I've only given you 2012 in that situation, although you do actually have it on the back of attachment 1. But you asked me not, or the Finance Review Task Force recommended not contributing to some of the funds as a means of saving general taxation in 2012.
But it was also because they were the replacement reserve funds and we've got the one big fund and are those little funds, they were set up before the big fund was and they really all should be really together, so.
Karen, can you, give me,
Oh, sorry.
on page 153, E5, and the general summary of what that $405,000?
Community planning and building
Yeah.
inspection. That is our community planning department. Sure, I know you can roll a bowling ball through it right now. It's contract costs plus the costs of the community planner that we paid, and the director of planning that we've paid, and our staff that are in there now.
Okay, so there's nothing
I believe that
to
it's,
shake out of there.
it's bumped up by about 30,000 over 2011 budget to, it's on one of my lists here of extra consulting contracts.
So there's 30,000.
Yeah, if you look at what's different, my page 151 where I talked about what's different from what I showed you in January 2013,
Yeah.
I've included another 30,000 in the planning department for consulting fees.
Okay, and that's over and above, the Snug Cove implementation on page 156, or is that included in PC 24 and PC 1?
Any of the PC ones won't be included, that's operating, anything that's an E row is just a day-to-day operating expense.
So then we have the two PC
So
1,
we're
PC 24 plus probably $30,000?
Those are capital items, so they're showing on the back, this is where it gets complicated. The bottom of page 153, there's C for capital items listed,
Okay.
and then there's some though that are funded in another way that don't even show up on here because they're just directly out of a reserve fund, so it depends what the source of funding is.
Can we not, are we still on Snug Cove? Like, how do we get money to implement Snug Cove? That's really what we're talking.
It's still something that
Yeah.
needs to be,
Okay.
either
So-
we accept what's there or we find a source of money.
And we have to put that in the budget even though we haven't made a decision, right?
You can't spend money you haven't budgeted for.
Unless something happens that
It's just an emergency, like a.
it's an emergency.
rock.
Yeah, it's a 25-year-old emergency. But just,
It's actually
Do we-
35, Jack, just to.
35?
It's 35.
Better to do it the way Councillor Morse suggested about Tunstall Bay, is put it in and then bring a decision report later, if you're pretty sure you're going to spend it, because otherwise we have to do a budget amendment to spend it later.
Okay, so, sorry, Darren,
So on the heels of that thought, could we not investigate before that time whether or not we can use the reserve funding from the community and other use surplus, just to be thorough? Somebody look into that, to see if that would,
I can bring some information on that, yeah.
because we wouldn't be taking the entire amount and not a tremendous.
Karen, can we do that tomorrow?
You also have the capital and stabilization fund, Allison's favorite pot.
Which was
Oh,
for
don't say that.
so there's not much left.
which was for acquiring the assets we needed to run as a municipality, and we whittled it away on planning studies.
Right.
No, there was $40,000 for the salt brine that we're not spending, is that?
That
Now
was to come out of
available?
that fund, so that means that fund is not as depleted,
Which fund is that, sorry?
the capital and stabilization fund, which was
Started
for,
out $1 million to build a municipal hall.
So we should leave that one alone, is what you're saying?
Well, you whittled it away, it's been whittled away to nothing.
But you will never build a community hall nor a community center if you don't spend the money on the Snucko planning. So you save all this money by doing nothing.
I don't understand why the Snud Cove, money on the Snud Cove planning has to be spent in order to build the community center. I fully support
Cause it's part of the whole
but we've already set the site and decided
But
where it's
I
gonna
think
be.
wasn't it more for the RFP proposal, that's gonna be quite the
Which is the
undertaking if we
lower
need to.
cove, which
Yeah,
is
but
the
it- but it
lower
would-
millers.
But if we follow our strategic plan and desired outcomes, a lot of those things are interrelated. So that's the argument. I
They're
think
so
we could make.
interrelated.
We could in fact ask in the RFP for the community center to be built as part of it.
Exactly. That could be part of the